I know a number of students that know that. And then Russia
Turned vertical. Everything he had was vertical. But raising in this community because it's easy to overlook. It's easy to overlook how this community just dragged you in and dragged you along. Even though
Devils are coming up. We'll start with that. You need your audio on. Thank you. All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Historical Society and season number 25 and lecture number 2. And, well, Gail, I owe her a huge favor because she skipped a month ahead for us. We didn't get in all of our World War II exhibit signs in yet, but now they are here. But, yes, and so out this.
Oh, that is of that,
You
okay.
get to see this is the first one of it, so this is of our World War II project that we've been working on, that Sandy Hansen's been working on. And so this is one dedicated to the Cadet Nurse Corps that will be over at Mercy Hospital. So they'll all be about, 2 foot by 3 foot, and they're on metal. And so they're really pretty to look at, and lots of information. So we're hoping for the World War II geeks to really geek out on it. But, so yes, tonight, Gail, she's agreed to come speak to us tonight on the Cadet Nurse Corps, Unsung World War II Heroines. And this is something that, well, near and dear to our hearts, I guess. I had a cousin-in-law was Ethlyn Paulson right here, and it wasn't nepotism involved, but yeah.
Yeah, right.
It was a good picture. And she was pretty too. At the photographer, she wore glasses, and she said, the photographer said, take off the glasses.
Say what?
Yeah.
That's the first I heard that she was a relative.
There you go. And she's one that we actually got an interview with, so we have that, and unfortunately she has passed, but her story lingers on, so. Anyhow, yeah, with this though, the Cadet Nurse Corps, and we here, we're actually lobbying Senator Hovland's office in this effort to try and get the cadet nurses honored. And so Gail will tell you a bit more about this, but we were lobbying hard here. We buttonholed one of his assistants over there at the library one day and brought her over here and showed her the Women at War exhibit, and she was enthralled and very excited. And in fact, I think Senator Hogan actually co-sponsored the effort to make this happen a couple times.
Both are, yeah.
So, yeah, it's jumped in, but I'd like to say that it was here with Allison Veselka. She was working on Women at War project, and big credit to her on how we ferreted out all this information. And you know, there's things like the group of nurses here. That was a black and white picture. We pumped it through a colorizer. It was just kind of magic. So, anyway, but with this, I guess, Gail, take it away. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, everybody. This is kind of near and dear to my heart. As you see, this is kind of a formal presentation here. It started like that. Oops, okay, I have this problem before.
Step this way.
Okay, through the North Dakota Nurses Association, we have kind of taken this up as a project. So,
You can bring the whole thing this way, roll.
oh,
It rolls.
yeah, right.
We rehearsed this, you can tell.
Okay, so this essentially is why I am interested in this. This is my mother-in-law, Isabel, and she graduated from Mercy Hospital in 1948, along with Joanne Bear's mom. What's her name? What's your mom's name?
Oh, Becky.
Becky Lutz. So, and several other nurses I had the privilege of working with throughout the
That was
years.
also a relative of mine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, and it's interesting because we didn't know anything about this until after Isabel died. My son found this membership card on Facebook, or not Facebook, Ancestry, Ancestry.com. Yep, so here we know, we have that. We knew she came from Long Prairie, Minnesota. Don't quite know how she got to Valley City, but,
Great.
yeah. So, here it is, and so she graduated in 1948. One of the biggest things of why this was created, and thank heavens they did. Evidently, there was a great shortage of nurses. As soon as World War II started, many nurses left the hospitals and clinics and everything, joined up. That was the thing to do. So when they established that, we're gonna be in bad shape, mostly for our community hospitals, and then service members that are coming back, and still, not necessarily, these nurses would go out of the country, but they were committed to serving the whole country as we know it here.
I had no idea how long the war was gonna last.
Well, that's it. So we'll get into when it was created. They started it in 1948, or 43, and it was, quit in 1945, wasn't it, Wes, I believe? Maybe I have that in my notes that I can't get up here, just a minute.
She's got it on her computer.
So, yeah, let me see. So Frances P. Bolton created this. She was a female representative from Ohio. And it passed unanimously. And it formed the division of nurse education in the government. So it provided a grant for hospitals and women. So one of the biggest things, it had two-part strategy. It paid existing nursing schools to improve and accelerate their program. They went from 36 months straight through down to 30 months straight through. They streamlined their program. They really concentrated on pediatrics, med-surg, surgery, and emergency care. So it also paid promising nursing students to attend the training. So they had to pledge to serve in the military or essential civilian role for the duration of the war. Now go back to that. One of the biggest things was the advertising they put out for the organization. It was really pushed as something a girl could do. It was a big step, and also gave the women a little bit of patriotic sense of, hey, I can help with the war effort too. Besides all the Rosie Riveters and stuff, this is a whole other aspect of that. So I mentioned this. Make sure that they provide education to ensure well-trained forces to take care of civilians and military needs. And Mercy Hospital was one of the hospitals that were, that took the government up on this program. They had to be accredited hospitals, so they, and accredited programs, and had to be approved before they could get the grant. Here's a list. Allison compiled this. So this is the list of North Dakota cadet nurses. And I actually have, with information that she has, I've got a list of all the Barnes County nurses even, so it's kind of fun throughout the years. And you can see, right away, 1943, 44, 1,000 nurses were trained in North Dakota. And then it slowly edged down as things wound down. These women were guaranteed that they would complete their education and had it all paid for whether the war ended or not. And that, with my mother-in-law in that class, that's what happened. The war ended before they got done. So we trained in the state 1,680 nurses, which is amazing. And the advertising campaign was prolific, and I couldn't find this movie reel that I'd seen before, but it's a boy and a girl, and they're sitting out by a stream or something, and she says, "Oh, Tommy, I wish there was something I could do to help with the war effort." "Well, Sally," since I'm looking at you, Sally, "there is. You can become a nurse and help take care of soldiers." And that was, I was so sad I couldn't find that. The uniforms, wow, what a fashion statement these women were too. It was professional. They had designers and everything. What do you need to, down to the shoes and socks and everything. Lipstick, I would suppose.
We have a couple of them on display downstairs.
Okay.
And what's
yes.
funny is the pockets are non-functional.
Of course. Pockets are non-functional in the women's uniform, of course. So to qualify for the Cadet Nurse Corps, you had to be 17 to 35 years old and a high school graduate with good training, with good grades. Dennis's mom didn't join until she was 20 years old, I noticed. So acceptance into the program included scholarships, you got room and board, and a stipend for $15 to $20 per month, which went up as you went to the different years. So, and then those uniforms, you had your summer uniform, you had your winter uniform, you had your coat, you had your cape, whatever. So they had a wide variety of different creeds and poems and music here. So as a cadet nurse, I will try to be competent in action, alert to conditions, determined in manner, eager for perfection, teacher of health, never forgetful, unselfish in service, reliable in duty, sincere at all times, ever reaching to God for strength and support. Isn't it?
Oh, love it.
Let me get caught up here. And one of the biggest things with the advertising campaign is that they really had to convince parents that this was a good thing for their daughter to go into. So here, these are Becky Lutz's photos that they donated to the museum, and my mother-in-law's is right there. She's there, and that's a picture of her on the right side. I should have grabbed one of Becky too, I didn't have one. And that's the class of 1948. You'll notice two sisters here. One of them is Sister Camille Prodzinski, who you might know. She was a graduate of 1948 also, so I was fortunate to work with her. Also, Alice Undum was another one. Alice Roller Undum was another one that I got to have the privilege of working with. My mother-in-law, Kathy had said that you worked with her for a little bit, and you didn't know she was a cadet, one of these military type nurses, but she sure acted like it. Ran a tight ship, and even though everything, she was very kind and very, she was definitely, I could see her in that role.
Opal Spiker too.
Huh?
Opal Spiker. Opal Spiker.
Oh, Opal, oh yes. I don't know that Opal was in this class. Was she?
I'm not sure if she was that one or one after.
I worked with Opal too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What?
Is that lady right by you? Yeah. Is that Merle O'Connell?
No, that's my mother-in-law, Isabel.
That is, oh,
Yep,
okay.
yep.
All right,
So,
thanks.
yep, yep.
Well, you're a nurse.
It looks like Merle, doesn't it?
It sure does.
So they operated from 1943 to 1948. 1,125 accredited schools participating, and over, I've heard, 120,000 nurses graduated. They served in both the civilian and military hospitals, and were really the backbone of our nursing for so many years, so many years.
Did they have to go to across the ocean to do any of this work, or?
They, for the most part, no. These women stayed in you have the nurses that wanted to serve in the military, so they joined up and went. Which, even though these ladies were commissioned, they didn't really, we'll talk about that, and they haven't really received any credit for what they did for the community. So that's kind of why we're here, so.
Is that your
The
singing?
amount of videos and things that are out there are very interesting. There are interviews with U.S. cadet nurses, and I was going to play,
You need your audio?
huh?
Need your audio with that?
Oh, yeah. Let's see,
Or it's almost not long enough.
yeah. Okay. So this is an interesting, we'll see how this runs.
The volume.
Student nurses, members of the newly formed United States Cadet Nurse Corps, marched to New York City Hall for induction. White-capped Navy auxiliaries applaud the young Sisters of Mercy who pledged their lives to serve humanity. Learning without pay, 95,000 volunteers like these are in training throughout the United States.
So, yeah. Let me get back out of there and go back to my brother. So lots of neat, let's see now. Oh, I know, I got that. So, other things, one of the most, oh, no, I'm not on the right, am I? Yeah, right there, we'll see. You got my notes, so that's fine. So another aspect of the U.S. Cadet Nurse Corps is the fact that they were discriminatory.
What'd you do with your
besides not
microphone?
having men.
Where'd your microphone go, Gail?
Oh, I did. See, Wes, I think the batteries fell out.
Oh, yeah, forgive me. Okay.
Just a minute.
Okay.
So they,
You broke it.
I don't think so.
no,
We didn't
see, it
rehearse
dropped,
this.
it caught on here, and yeah, we'll make it. Then we got power.
This is all comedic relief. Okay, talk.
Okay,
Hey.
there we go. So one of the most interesting things of all this is that, as I said, an amendment to the original bill is a non-discrimination category. So, people in this program, there were 45 Native tribes represented, 3,000 African Americans, and also a handful of Japanese American women who were in an internment camp. So this woman, let's listen to Mary here. 'Cause she tells her story of okay, no, let me go back over here now. Oh golly. We'll go here.
I found myself at a time in my career where I knew
See, I had this all set up so we wouldn't have to hear this.
You're gonna have to
To
watch
finish
that. Keep going.
Yeah,
I chose Purdue Global
There you
because
go.
the fact
there.
I grew up in Terminal Island. It was a very unique community because my father was taken away on December 7th and he was considered alien. I couldn't go to college on the East Coast. Terminal Island people were only given 48 hours to leave. Oh, that was the most terrible time that I have ever experienced in my life. We went to camp. I was a nurse's aide in Gila River. Well, one of the RNs that I got very friendly with said, there's a big opportunity for young girls like you to take up this cadet nursing training. It's free. There's a little obligation that you have to serve with the armed forces after you get your training. You know, my folks didn't have any money, and I got into St. Mary's School of Nursing at Rochester, Minnesota. Oh, it was rigorous. The sisters were very exacting. You know, you had to do everything the right way. We had to work so hard taking care of patients. We stuck it out. It was a good training. But the war ended, and I was in my second year of training. The government said all the nurses can't continue because they needed nurses.
I'm extremely proud of the fact that I had such a patriotic mother. She took great pride and loyalty in everything she did as a nurse.
There were a lot of patients, they had lost all their life savings. I could help people just by being cheerful.
Yeah, so that's an interesting aspect of things here too, so. Another fine thing, we talked about the uniform, and here is the code that they had to live with for their uniform, and it was a symbol of what you are, and the regulation, every bit of, if you would be out of uniform if you didn't have everything that they said you should be wearing. And Wes has several uniforms downstairs, so they're neat to look at. We also had a cadet nurse pledge, so everybody pledged in a ceremony to serve. And then, questions?
Yeah.
Yep. So here we have, let me just escape, see if I can escape now. Come on. I was hoping to get the words up there too.
We're in the war, doing our part to
Besides, you got the uniform and.
Yeah, I mean, how could you say no?
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can get this right. All right. So here's another interesting home movie. And it is the nurses marching. And I just have to say it's quite amusing.
Dress, dress, dress.
Yep, that's their seersucker uniform. Those are different hats than I've seen. I'll have to look for one of them.
Take vitamins at 7:30 p.m.
Yeah, I think they had to do that here too.
Real soldier trying to teach them there. You know, Sarah, I noticed a black nurse in there. All right. Yeah, so that's fun stuff.
So they would have been integrated before the military then.
Yeah, definitely. And I have to say, that's been nursing forever. Inclusion of everybody, the good old DEI thing, that's been a part of nursing. It's just,
Even before anybody else knew.
yep, definitely. All right, come on now. I'll see now, I went out of the presentation mode. So, and here's another film that is strange because it has some early nursing photos in it, so it's not really, the pictures aren't applicable to the U.S. Cadet Nurse Corps. There are some pictures in there, but this really tells what these nurses went through and the sacrifices that they made, so this is an interesting one.
June 1944. The hospitals of New York never slept. Every night, ambulances screamed down darkened streets carrying soldiers just back from Europe, and factory workers injured in the rush to keep the war machine turning. Inside, one woman fought her own war without ever leaving the hospital floor. They were called the US Cadet Nurse Corps, 180,000 young women who answered a desperate call. By 1943, America's hospitals were emptying. Doctors and nurses were shipping out to war.
See, that's a
The
Vietnam
Surgeon
picture.
General warned Congress, if we don't act now, our hospitals will collapse. In response, the US created a new army, one made not of soldiers, but of caregivers. They trained under strict military-style discipline, 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, and when they graduated, they went straight into the wards to face exhaustion, disease, and loss. The average nurse worked 16-hour shifts. They treated soldiers with burns, amputations, and shattered bodies, and factory workers whose machines had turned against them. There was never enough sleep, never enough morphine, never enough time. Many lived in cramped dormitories. Some fainted on duty. Others broke down quietly in supply closets, then went back to work. They didn't ask for medals, they just kept going. As one cadet nurse later wrote, "We were young and the world needed us, that was reason enough." In 1945, a 22-year-old nurse named Margaret Peg Doolan collapsed after 36 straight hours on duty at an army hospital in Massachusetts. When she woke up, her supervisor told her to rest. She refused. "There's still a train coming in," she said. That moment captures what the Cadet Nurse Corps stood for. Women who didn't wear medals but bore invisible scars of service. When the war ended, the soldiers came home to parades. The nurses went quietly back to their lives. Many never told their stories. Others went on to transform American healthcare, becoming doctors, midwives, educators. But history forgot them. The only uniformed women's corps of World War II never granted full veteran status. They were America's first responders before the term even existed, the ones who held the line when no one else could. She never carried a gun, but she saved more lives than most soldiers ever could. Subscribe for more untold stories of courage.
So, and this was published 3 days, 3 or 4 days ago, so it's interesting that it's out there, so. I think I've got one more. And this will just start, because this is the real reason we are here. These nurses have never been recognized as veterans, even though they were commissioned. You saw them marching and everything too. They were there to serve the war. So the fact that we've been trying to get federal laws through has kind of changed my focus now, since they aren't doing that, and we're looking for North Dakota to at least recognize these women. So this is an article or a news report from, I'm not quite sure
Mark,
where.
thank you. Supporters say time is running out to honor a group of World War II nurses who the federal government says are not United States veterans. Josh Smith explains why they want Congress to act before it's too late.
The group, Friends of the United States Cadet Nurse Corps, wants Congress to grant honorary veteran status to the estimated 124,000 American nurses who enlisted in the Corps in a time of national crisis.
These women stepped up and saved the country from a complete collapse of the healthcare system. There was never a shortage of nurses in our American history like there was in World War II.
After seeing our early reports on the Cadet Nurse Corps survivors like Agnes Lowe of Johnson City, Congresswoman Diana Harshbarger immediately joined as a co-sponsor of the legislation.
She personally called Cadet Nurse Agnes Lowe to tell her this, and Agnes was just overjoyed with the phone call.
Now, Paremba says she hopes for the same response from Senator Marsha Blackburn,
This was
a
in
member of the
2017
Veterans Affairs
also.
Committee.
I really think that Senator Blackburn is a very powerful senator. She's a woman.
A Blackburn spokesman would not say if she would be willing to co-sponsor the bill, but did tell News Channel 11 Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer needs to bring this legislation to a vote on the Senate floor.
Or no,
We
2022.
appreciate all who served in the Cadet Nurse Corps, which is why Senator Blackburn supported this bill in the Veterans Affairs Committee. We hope Schumer will honor these nurses with this well-deserved recognition. But Paremba says she's worried that won't be enough.
So it's very important that she not just say that she supports the bill, but she is on the record as a co-sponsor.
Senator Blackburn recently announced she is a co-sponsor of another bill, the Women Who Worked on the Homefront Act, to establish a new memorial in Washington, D.C.
That's sort of the Rosie the Riveter bill, and it doesn't even mention the cadet nurses. So we're not mentioned in the Homefront Memorial, and we can't get recognition as honorary veterans. So I'm really confused.
Paremba says time is running out to grant honorary veteran status to Cadet Nurse Corps survivors as Congress ends the current term in December. And she says there's another reason.
The cadet nurses are all in their late 90s, and they have just been waiting and waiting and waiting, and in the meantime, we're losing them. And many of them said to me, Barb, they're just waiting for us to all die and go away.
You can learn more about the Cadet Nurse Corps and hear the stories of the 3 living cadet nurses here in the Tri-Cities on WJHL.com.
Yeah, that's the problem here. These nurses, I will say that we've identified 2 that are still living in North Dakota. A woman in Bismarck, and she didn't want to talk to me. Her niece was quite surprised, but she wasn't ready to put a story out there. And then our own Sonny Spitzer, who was in Valley City, who just turned 100. So, and I talked to her daughter Connie yesterday, and she could not attend today, so. Let's see if we go back on the presenter notes. So they've never received recognition as veterans. There have been 2 bills introduced federally, 2017 and 2023. Both Hoban and Kramer and Armstrong supported these bills. And they went to the Veterans Affairs Committee, and that's where they stayed. So in 2023. So it would be nice to get this going again. So, and all it said is, the changes is to recognize and honor the service of individuals who served in the United States Cadet Nurse Corps during World War II and for other purposes. There was no monetary attachment to it. All they essentially, and no veterans benefits. Essentially all they were asking for is a plaque to put on their graves. So that is it. So in January, my friend Penny over here took this show on the road to the North Dakota State Capitol, and the student nurse, is that right? Yeah. Yep. NSAND, which is the North Dakota Student Nurse Association. We set it up in the Capitol on Nurses Day in January, and had lots of visitors through there. I will say none of our representatives came by, although one of several children did. They were invited, and I wish they would have come. It was great fun. There was over 200 nurses there at the Capitol. We went up, and there was like 350 at the Student Nurse Association or convention or conference too. And it's our legacy as nurses. So Penny contributed some other little older information, syringes and old things like that too. So we had a great time doing that, and it was well received. Because of that, the North Dakota Nurses Association has adopted the platform to recognize these nurses in our next legislative session. We have a legislative sponsor. She is a senator and a nurse practitioner, and we hope to see a continuing resolution to honor these women at that time. So, and I certainly I invite you to visit the display that is located in the museum basement. So certainly, thank you to the Barnes County Historical Society, and Allison compiled the local history for us here too. I would have had all my references had this been a nursing situation, but I don't have any. And I would have had the objectives of this program is. But, so anyway, I thank the North Dakota Nurses Association for picking this up for us too. So, all right. Any questions? Any?
Did Mercy Hospital have a nursing program before?
Yes.
It started?
Yes.
When did that, yeah, oh, yes.
Yeah, 1929.
Yeah, it was real early on, so. And they were, yep,
Okay, your mother-in-law is born in Minnesota. How did she get up here?
don't know. You know,
There's so many of them
yep.
came up here to work as domestics or whatever.
Yeah, no, and I don't think she did. I think it was specifically to come to school, so.
Oh, to school.
To the nursing program,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
And it was in conjunction with VCSU. So they went from Mercy Hospital, they had their barracks, or their what do you call it? The
Dormitory.
Dormitory, thank you. They had to walk all the way over to VCSU and through the trains sometimes just to get to class. And that's where they picked up their science and biology and medical and chemistry. And so yes, I think they have some notes they're still taking. They have Arabic script on. Is that they were still teaching. So, yeah.
Gail, the dormitories, was that like up on the 5th floor?
I think there was a room,
No, it was a building.
a whole new building.
A whole
Okay.
building, okay.
Okay.
Because when I first started there, before I got an apartment, I lived up on, I think it was 5th floor.
Well, they were in the old building, remember?
Okay.
So the one that looked like Spanish Mission. And then there
Okay.
was another building behind that was their dorm, so. Yeah, Eflin said the nuns were real strict.
Real strict, real strict.
Yeah, the doorknobs had to be shiny, the shoes, yeah. But, what was it, Eflin, she said she got her, it's a blue cape with a red inside it.
Oh,
right?
Yep.
And Eflin said hers was stolen, so she was very angry about that years later.
Oh.
And her mom took her uniform and demilitarized it and wore it as a nice gray suit until it wore out.
James?
We assumed that all these women to go into school had to be single without children. And I presume all nursing students before that probably were also. Do we know when it became acceptable to go into nursing school if you were married or had children?
60s?
60s? Well, I know, I'll tell you, in 1980s, and when I was in the dormitory, we still had to have the door open and 2 feet on the ground, so.
Didn't get married.
Yeah, and I was married at that time, actually, but, so.
And that's what happened to Eflin. She had a boyfriend and, what was it, somehow they managed to sneak a little communication between her and him and war ended and she graduated and they got married and she never nursed again.
And that was, and Dennis's mom, she nursed for quite a few years there, and I suppose until you moved on to the farm, 53, 54?
I think she, for a number of years.
She was a supervisor, yeah, she was a nursing supervisor.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
never heard one word about this. Never one word.
That's interesting, because I didn't hear much about it from my mother either. It was very
Yeah.
rarely spoken about.
yeah, that's a shame, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's too
So-
bad.
And then his mom, she stayed home and milked cows until, I suppose it was when we got married in the early 70s, and then she went back and renewed her license and worked for a good number of years
Well,
again.
do you think that maybe, you know, they were still under the stigma of working women shouldn't
Yeah.
be?
Oh,
I
yeah,
think that was
for
the
sure.
fate of most of these women that served in any capacity that, yes, they were building, Rosie the Riveters, and yes, they served in the military, but they came home and they became mommy and that was it. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's kind of a repetitive story that Alice and we encountered was that they never knew about moms and found the stuff in the trunk and,
Yeah, so, yeah, and I didn't realize until just a few days ago, okay, well, first of all, Mercy nurses went to Cook County Hospital to train for like 6 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so they had some wild training, I'm sure, down there. And then the fact that the American Hospital Association has credited them for saving the United States healthcare, because essentially you may be training, but then you're going to the hospital and you're working for 8 or this, like 16 hours in a row here. So they were able to utilize them because they didn't have the staff there.
Is there any reason given why they haven't been recognized? What the holdup is?
I
for them
think
to be
just
recognized?
they weren't commissioned into the military, and they're not. Isn't that what you would assume?
And they're women, they're not looking to be, to get money, they just want recognition.
Yeah.
How hard is that?
But it took up until recently to get the Rosie the Riveters the Congressional Gold Medal. So, at the least, the women deserve that.
Back in those days, women were considered secondary citizens,
Yeah.
And it's really sad. I mean,
And one of the ads, let's see, the one that's, you know, with the parents is very interesting, the push, because, you know, and there were several stories I know, I think Allison had compiled these of, you know, a dad driving their daughter into Valley City here on the tractor and dropping her off, or even selling a tractor to get her here, so, yeah. So it was quite a step to do that, so. All right. Any other questions? So we hope to get this at least recognized, and I think we do need to repurpose the federal law here now too, because women deserve that, so.
It was Custer, Kramer that we were working with, so.
Yeah, okay, yeah, and Hogan's name was on it, and Fedorchuk probably doesn't know a thing about it, so we'll have to educate her. Yeah, now,
So I'm just gonna mention, you know, we're not in a state of war, all right, but we certainly are short nurses.
isn't, I've been thinking,
Wouldn't it make sense that you start a program like this again, and instead of having women and men who wanna be nurses go into debt, you know?
yes,
To start up, you know, to rebuild the infrastructure instead of hiring nurses from overseas and sapping them.
yeah.
Their medical personnel
Yeah.
and rebuilding our own, you know, I mean.
I
I think that would be the living memorial that should
Mhm.
happen, you know, bring back the US Cadet Nurse Corps for this purpose. for this
Yeah,
time.
wow. That's,
what's the percentage of the nurse cadets that actually went active duty?
I think it's quite small.
Very small.
It started so late
They-
in 43, and then we have to have 4 years of training, so.
Yeah.
And the drain came from the nurse, people that were already nurses. So they were the ones that went off to war and left this hole
Vacuum.
in the system, so, yeah. Dave?
Well, I wasn't gonna mention it, but my brother, who was 1 year ahead of me in medical school, and we were one of group of 6 kids on a quarter of mortgaged land. We wouldn't have been able to afford to even go to college. But fortunately, the Russians sent up Sputnik. And when Sputnik went up, they said, we need scientists, we need them now, and we need them bad. So the life kind of fell into place after that, and our medical school was $400 a quarter. You know, and we kept saying, we could do that again. If we need people, we could invest in poor kids to train them.
North Dakota is doing some good investment in healthcare with the North Dakota Nurses Association and scholarships and things like that too, but it's not enough. And then the biggest problem is lack of people to teach them. So that's where the shortage is coming.
You've used up the people who came before. You're all we're all retired.
Yes, we are.
So there's a gap, you know,
Yeah.
there's a gap, and I'm just gonna say, when I got here, I had the privilege of working with a lot of nurses who trained at St. Luke's. Probably some of them Mercy, they were, what do you call them, diploma nurses. The best nurses I ever worked with, no 4-year degree here. But
No, and that's the 3-year
they were
degree.
on the
yeah,
ground,
yeah.
trained
In the
nurses
hospital,
in the
you're
hospital.
working.
Don't probably need a 4-year degree to do really good for.
And that's in good old North Dakota.
No.
And that went, and you know, we didn't, at one point in the state, they said every RN had to have a 4-year degree. And that really kind of strangled our programs for a while, and that has changed now. And so you're back to like Botano, which has the LPN, and into the RN program that Valley City State offers here now too, which has been a great stepping stone for nurses, so.
But we've got this real, because of all what's going on between cost and the number of slots, we're at a bottom, we're at a bottom.
Yeah, it's full.
I don't know if you were speaking at the time, but where is this St. Luke's?
Yes.
Bartle.
Bartle.
It's there now. Or Sanford.
Excuse me, yes.
Yes.
I didn't do the project, that was Allison's project.
Yeah. North Broadway, I had an apartment in the buildings just south there, and then.
Well, St. John's had a program.
St. John, yeah.
They did.
Yeah. All right, and I don't know that St. Luke's, that they have a display. I don't think they mentioned this at all. There's a display on North Broadway that.
And yet there's been a display of mercy.
Yeah,
They have a
forever.
cave there.
Yep. Lorna Vanderbeck's, I believe, is who it is. And also here's another aspect of nursing that's just been developed in North Dakota. It's a nurse honor guard. So we have a nurse honor guard. So when we all die, they can have a presentation for us. So.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yes. All right. What did you say?
She said that we'll never know. Not your problem anymore.
But there's like over 100 nurses that have signed up to help with this now in the States.
Where are they at?
There's a chapter in Fargo, in Jamestown, and I'm assuming Bismarck. So, yeah. So.
You wanna give us a quick preview of your
Oh.
lecture? Is it March and it's?
No, we're gonna do April, I think.
April.
Okay, so,
Sorry about that, Lori. Yeah.
yep. Oh, I think it was, or we can change it to later too, so. Anyway, I'm gonna be giving a program on the Merchant Marines. My dad was a Merchant Marine, and he essentially, he and I kind of put together a little book on his, before he died, and it was called The Angels Watching Over Me. And so it's a program, he really went to every ocean, for one thing, and for some reason, his mother saved every letter that was sent home. And I don't know how this man kept this file all together after mom died. But there's things like a USO pass from Calcutta, I think, and another letter home to his mom that we saw your son at the club in New York City, and he's looking well and doing all this. So it'll be nice. And I haven't looked at these things for several years, so I've got a few months. But I hope to map out just the path he took. They went down to Africa to pick up rubber. They went someplace else for fuel, someplace else for jute. Mediterranean Sea, where the ship right next to him was rammed by an Italian cruise ship that was turned into a battleship. So, it's an interesting story, and the Merchant Marines lost more people in the war than any other.
They had alarms.
Unarmed, yes. Dad was a Sparky. He ran the radio, so he had some privilege and kept people in
And
line.
they too weren't recognized as veterans.
No, until 1984, I think, and he worked on that here. He was very aware of that, and he took full advantage of his wonderful veterans benefits after that. So
That's next year.
Yep, next year.
But next month, the reason for Gail skipping ahead here though was we have a sneak peek. We're making on the board here to have you a soft grand opening of our panels that has been created with Sandy and worked on here, and so we'll have some downstairs, and it'll be an evening of information, lectures at 7 o'clock, but yeah, refreshments, and why we got chosen as a National Park Service heritage city for North Dakota. So all kinds of wonderful stories and amazing things we've ferreted out of the woodwork, and it's a remarkable story. We have a lot to be proud of, and we hope that other people will come and see it as well. So take a look here, and yeah, make your way downstairs, see Allison's display on the Women at War. So thank you, and thanks a lot for coming. There were 40 of us, I think.
Cool.
How are you?
So she blew
Thank you.
Some of them are,